Your exit ticket is all about writing the correct CER. So you really, for tomorrow's assessment, are only going to have to write two different claims and two pieces of evidence to go with both of those claims. So your exit ticket, I'm setting you up to already know what your claims are, and you're already going to know at least one piece of evidence based on how well you do with your exit ticket. This is not the time to guess. This is not the time to oh, I'm not going to really read the question and I'm not going to really read the answer choices. This is the time to be very serious because, again, if you get this correct on your exit ticket, you will already have your claim and at least one piece of evidence for your assessment tomorrow. So I'm going to show you a quick slide. This is how I came up with my claim and my two pieces of evidence for the two different questions. So just like I show you this piece of evidence, which is going to be on your assessment tomorrow, I'm going to show it again. Call 1, it was too low. It was too quiet of a sound. Call 2, this was the mother sound. The dolphin, the calf was able to identify this as the mother sound. Call 3, the pattern was different. It wasn't the calf's mother. So I'm going to go ahead and think about these questions and show you how I came up with my claim. Question 1, why did the dolphin calf hear the second call from his mother but not the first? So what they're asking you is, why was the calf able to hear this call but not this one? So when we went through, if you watched the video before this one, we talked about the difference between these two calls. So I came up with my claim, which is right here. The calf heard the second call from his mother because it was louder than the first call. Based on these printouts, I know that this was taller, so therefore it was louder. When I think about my evidence, my first piece of evidence is going to come straight from these wave printouts. In the wave printout before, we talked about how this amplitude is larger than this amplitude, which tells me it's louder. So according to the wave printouts, call 1 has a shorter amplitude, which tells me the call was more quiet. I got that evidence straight from this information, which is going to be provided to you tomorrow. I gave a sentence starter according to the wave printouts, telling you what my source was. Call 1 has a shorter amplitude, which is true, which tells me the call was more quiet. My second piece of evidence, because you need to come up with at least two pieces of evidence for each question that you get tomorrow. During the sim, and this is the simulation that I'm talking about when we played with the amplitude button there. During the sim, I learned when I moved the amplitude to small, the wave got shorter and the sound got quiet. So if you, again, in our lesson, went to the simulation and watched the video, you will have learned that when you went to small in your amplitude, you noticed that the wave got shorter. That's where my second piece of evidence is coming from, what I have already learned in the weeks prior to this assessment. Going to question number 2. You again will have these two questions, and again, you will need to write a claim for each question, two pieces of evidence for each claim. How did the dolphin, this is question number 2, how did the dolphin calf know that call was from his mother? So what they're asking, because when you read these questions, you really need to be asking yourself, just like if we were in class, well, what are they asking me? What is the teacher asking me? What is being asked of me so that I can actually answer this question properly? So what they're asking in number 2 is, how did the dolphin know that this was his mother and not call number 3? And if you watched the video before this one, we went over the difference between these two calls. So this is my claim. The calf knew the call was from his mother because the pitch was different from call 3, which is right there. All I did was restate this question while also throwing the answer in there. I didn't add evidence to this claim sentence because all I need is to restate the question and answer it at the same time. I can see from call 2 and call 3 that the patterns are different, so that is true. Thinking about my evidence, I'm going to pull my evidence straight from the sources that will be provided to you, which are those wave printouts. Evidence, this is evidence number 1. Notice my sentence starters. I'm not saying evidence 1 is, evidence 2 is. I'm telling you, I'm using sentence starters that we used in class. According to the wave printouts, call 2 has a different pattern than call 3, which shows different pitches. That is true. These are two different patterns. In the video before, you learned that these are two different pitches. These are two different pitch patterns. That is straight up evidence. That's what I got. That's what I'm writing. That is what's there for me. In my second piece of evidence, I'm going again to the simulation because we learned a lot from the simulation. Had we completed the simulation, you again would have learned a lot about amplitude, a lot about wavelength from volume to pitch. So during the sim, I learned that wavelengths with a short distance has a high pitch and longer distance has a low pitch. So when we had short to long, we know and was able to hear the different sounds in those pitches. I simply looked at and reviewed the information that was given to me, and I also went into my memory bank and remembered what I did in the simulations and remembered what the lesson videos were about. And I quickly and easily came up with two pieces of evidence for each of my claims, just as easily as I came up with those claims for these questions. Do not overthink. Do not second guess yourself in the assessment tomorrow. As long as you've watched all of these 3 videos and completed your assignment today very well, I'm promising you will do well on your assessment tomorrow.